Hmm.
Do you have a dream you want to reach and want to get there faster? Do you want to know how to catapult your joy, focus, and what you get done? We all have 24 hours. The good thing is that time is yours and you are the pilot in control. So, as I say, let's skip to the good part. Welcome to this podcast where I show you solutions to help you be time wise and how to get there. So, today's topic is superhuman. Oh, this is a good one.
Yeah.
Who am I? My name is Christy. I'm a certified efficiency coach and I have a lean Six Sigma black belt. So I've really studied my game. I'm an international speaker and I've worked as a manager in big financial companies for decades. And on top of that, I'm a mom of four small kids. Today's guest is welcome to Clyde. He's a spiritual life coach and he has been speaking, teaching, and developing people for over 25 years. He doesn't look like he's been out in the world for so long. He offers a unique cross cultural perspective from leading large teams in New York City. He's been in the police department training leaders in the world's most successful banks and insurance companies, from law enforcement to financial planning to executive leadership. So he has been in many worlds, forensic
Yes.
psychology, and also studied leadership and ministry. So welcome to you, Clyde.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. I appreciate your time and your energy, and I love what it is that you're doing. And I'm here to participate in whatever way it is that I can to help people realize the true potential that they actually have inside themselves.
So let's talk about your background. How did you end up focusing on superhuman power?
Well, you know what it is. Sometimes in life, everybody goes through a situation, a stress, strain, a struggle, trying to go from adversity to an advantage, from an opposition to an opportunity. And for
Oh,
me, no different. The whole thing, what it is, just like you have that black belt. You didn't get the black belt without going through the white belt. Before you got the white belt, you had the idea that I want to do something. So then you put that same thing together, which is the passion that you actually felt within your heart and the idea, and you put those two things together, and here you are with that black belt. But you had to go through the process, the stress, the strain, and the struggle. And the whole thing, what it is how do I turn that from what it looks like into something that's going to be beneficial and an opportunity for me? So we learn how to transform what's already present into what it is that we truly desire to do. That's the superhuman aspect. When we take something that's on a human element and we transform that into something that's really superhumanly possible. So we allow ourselves to tap into that energy that we have, and everybody has it within. We just got to decide to turn it on. And once you turn it on, you'll never turn it off.
oh, I love it. It's like stacking the small things. And when you stack the small things, you end up in a new place. I've seen a lot of
Yep.
those superhuman movies. Oh,
Yeah.
no, that's not me. That's far away. But when you're talking superhuman, it's more like tapping into what is inside of us.
Exactly. That's the whole thing. It's already here. We already have the neurological wiring inside of ourselves. We have the adrenal system, which actually functions on. We have the organs. The whole adrenal system is really set up for us to function and operate in a higher capacity. And as long as we tune into that, then we get met with these unprecedented ideas and these concepts, and we tap in to find out that life is trying to express itself through us, not to us. And once we get to
Oh,
that point, and we turn on, we realize that we just were existing and not really living life. And now we become a cooperator in this thing that we call an expression of life. And now we start to impact the people around us, which actually allows us to impact the world at large, one by one, starting with self. That's it.
uh, many people talk about self-worth and self-confidence,
Yeah.
about sometimes self-confidence is what we have learned, but self-worth is like a small kid believing in themselves. Oh, I can do anything. You can
Yeah.
almost see them shine, finding the energy. But when people sometimes grow older, oh no, that can't be done. I
Yeah.
have no time.
Hmm.
We can do more. Yeah,
You
we
just
have to
said it.
prioritize, but
Yeah. You key thing, you just said it. So if you could think about it like this, every adult still has the childlike quality within them, But what we've grown to do because of society and because of institutionalization and so on and so forth, we tend to put the child aside when the child is the most curious essence of who it is that you truly are. When you're a kid, a puddle, you can stand in that puddle and splash around in that puddle all day because it's the most fun that you can have. Your imagination is triggered on, and it's just about how much fun can I have in the next moment? Because that's all you want to do is just have as much fun as you possibly can. But like you said, we tend to turn on the prioritization switch and then we turn off the imagination switch because we prioritize everything. But what happens if we prioritize imagination? And now we get to live from the essence of the joy and the fun that we can actually have while still accomplishing the task at hand. It's just that we switch on, and when we switch on, we get a new neurological uptake. We release different chemistry within the body that allows us to do the thing that we truly desire to do because now we're operating from the heart, not just in the mind. And we have that integration between the heart and the mind. When we put those two things together, that's that superpower. That's that super unleashing of the essence of the childlike quality in the adult being, but from the imagination that's prioritizing life itself as a great expression through who I am. That's what it's about.
And a word that comes to mind is holistic, thinking about the whole body. I
Yes.
admit I have seen so many projects. I've done many projects plans and do a lot of tools. But what
Hmm.
makes me very helpful in helping people is about finding out where they are. What is their time blueprint, I call it.
Yeah,
What is their
exactly.
sleeping time? What is their preference? And not just, hey, you have this planner, just go do. Find
Right.
out the mindset instead of
You're
thinking,
right.
if you have, I have to have some exercise and I have small kids. Oh,
Hmm.
they can't go together.
Yeah,
Well, they can. I can exercise with my kids. When they were
exactly.
small, I could use them as lifting bills. You can
Hmm.
do a lot.
You can. It's how creative can you be? And you just said it. So we have a blueprint. Can you imagine, again, going into the imagination, on tapping into the blueprint that's designed for the ultimate you, for the superhuman version of yourself. And that blueprint is imprinted within inside ourselves. But what we tend to do is we get distracted and we put our focus on other things and follow one course until successful. And we think our success is on the external part of life. But success is really based on the inner part. So as it is within, so it is without. You happen to mention holistic.
Yeah,
When we get to that holistic essence and that being, and we allow ourselves to matriculate those two things together and come in harmony with the being, now we have a union inside. And there's no separation between the two. Our higher consciousness integrates with the subconscious part of the mind and the conscious part of the mind. And now we have this movement and we have this motion and this ocean in motion. And a thing in motion continues for life expression.
yeah,
And the whole thing, what it is now we're moving, but we're moving in unison with the oneness in the being. And then we tie into the energy of the universe itself, which is a whole nother concept in itself. But the first thing of integration is how do I create the balance within inside myself? And when I come into the order with the balance inside myself, my perspective changes. And the things that I used to look at change from the things that I now see because I have a greater degree of understanding, not for what's outside, but for what's inside. And now I get to reflect this thing because now there's the mirror image. And we have mirror neurons and cells and all these other different things that happen in the body. Like I said, the body is already wired and designed for the superhuman expression of life itself. The question is do we take the time and prioritize the understanding of who we truly are, as you said, which creates that homeostasis within the body. And when you do that, the superhuman light turns on. And why would it ever turn off? You never want it to turn off.
yeah,
That's the
because
great
this is
expression.
about the inner world we have inside.
Yes.
Some people talk about, the community. You are the five people you are surrounded with. Because have you any of you listeners been in a room where the other people were excited, happy? It
Yeah.
rubs off. Similar to if one is sad or depressed. Yeah, you
Hmm.
want to help them, but if it continues to be someone depressed, then it rubs up on you as well. So it's about
Exactly.
finding community places. And I love your energy, Clyde. So that is where, oh, yeah. Yeah. And you love music, I hear.
I do definitely love music as a DJ as well. And you said something that's interesting. When we walk into a room, we have an opportunity. And we've got to make a decision at that time. And the simple question to ask yourself is, do you want to be a thermometer and read the room? Or do you want to be a thermostat and set the temperature in the room?
Oh,
And we have an opportunity to do that no matter where we go by being the true person that we are. But once we really know our true identity, then it's not even a question about whether I just want to read the room, because I want to set the atmosphere in the room just by walking in. And that's having a positive mental attitude, positive conduct, making sure that I'm confident in my abilities because I know who it is that I am. I've done the inner work. I've recognized my talent, my skills, and abilities. I'm not trying to be something that I'm not. I'm
yeah.
just expressing myself as I truly am. And when you do that, like I said, I keep going back to the same thing as you were saying, that homeostasis, that balance, that order. We put things in priority and we realize that it's just the greatest expression. And then you find this effortless energy just to be yourself. And it never turns off. You talked about sleep. Now we're not just getting sleep because we're tired throughout the day. We're sleeping because of restoration and restoring the body to the balance that it's supposed to have. So when I rest at the end of the day, it's not because I'm so tired and the tumultuous day, it's that I'm recharging myself. I'm rebuilding myself. I'm letting my cells do what needs to be done because it's all the inner work that's going on as far as the energy within the body. That's the simple step.
Yeah, so sometimes people are saying, yeah, I can't sleep, I can't take breaks, I'm on a schedule. But when I tell people having small breaks across the whole day actually makes your body and your brain think better. And people are
Exactly.
saying, is that the truth? Yeah. You can even wear, before you go to sleep, if you have something going on in your mind, do some journaling, write it down, and ask your brain a question.
Yeah.
How can that be possible? When you sleep, your part of your
Subconscious mind
brain,
will go to work.
it's going to work and it's not interrupting your sleep.
Nope.
And when you wake up in the morning, oh yeah, then it
Yeah,
pops up.
that's
So it's
it.
about using your life. I have a lot of people who are saying, I can't do this because I have to clean up. I have to do this work.
Yeah,
We can all use another word. Instead of I have to, I choose to.
yeah, that's
Because
true.
people choose to, I'm not saying anything bad about cleaning up, but some people choose to do things. So it's their priority.
Yeah,
And people
that's it.
choose what they prioritize.
You said the key thing, and it's just so many different things that you just said in this little statement right here. One of the key things is, again, the proper rest and understanding, hey, listen, if I take a few minutes throughout the day, I'm also conditioning myself that I'm the priority. I can slow things down. And as long as I can slow things down from a few minutes, my perspective will change. What people tend to operate and function in most of the time throughout the day is high beta. All right. So we have beta, alpha, theta, and we have delta, and these different
Yeah, yeah,
levels
yeah,
of consciousness and awareness and all that
yeah,
stuff. But at the same time, when we move away from that fight, flight, freeze, or hide, which is the sympathetic nervous system, which is what we actually function and operate all day, and we just take a few minutes and shift from the sympathetic nervous system, which is all within, to the parasympathetic nervous system, which is rest, digest, relax, and pleasure. And I can just do that automatically throughout the day. I'm giving myself a chance to shift. And when I shift, I also shift the chemistry within the body. And when I shift the chemistry within the body, my perspective actually changes because now my body's functioning and operate in a different state of being. So now that whole time of getting to the point where I have to go to sleep and I'm so tired, I just fall out. Now, like I said, like you said, you can sit at the bed for a couple of minutes and ask myself that question. And I like to call those presupposition questions. And the
yeah,
question that you're asking yourself that question about is, you know, not why do I have such a problem, but why am I so successful? And allow that to rest within yourself while you're sleeping. And then the subconscious part of the mind will start to feed the brain, the conscious part, why you've been so successful at this. You've been successful at this opportunity. You've been successful at that opportunity. And now, instead of the fear, which is forget everything and run, it's face everything and rise. Because now I'm operating at a higher degree of consciousness because I believe more in myself because it's not about the imposter syndrome. It's about who I truly am. And we just have to have those reminders inside our head, which we do. We just got to turn them on. And once we start to turn them on, like what you're speaking about right here, now we have a new memory. And that new memory is
yeah,
associated to a good behavior. And like you said in the beginning, we're talking about habit stacking. And now once I start to stack those good things on top, those situations that was weighing me down are now transformed to start to support me for who it is that I truly am and not weigh me down with who I was in the past. But now my past has become a road for wisdom as opposed to a road of despair and fear. That's what it's really all about.
Oh, it's so good. And the part about sleeping and focusing on, okay, why was I so good today? We can
Hmm.
also use it on kids before they go to
Yes.
sleep. What happened that was good today? Oh, yeah. And then they start. So
Yeah.
we can help other people get in a better mood.
Hmm.
I've heard a lot about, the hormones in our body. So when
Yeah.
people are scrolling, people use so many hours each day scrolling. And yes,
Yeah.
in fact, they're getting a dopamine kick. Wow, I can do this, I can do that.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
that affects our body as well. So we're in effect addicted to that dopamine kick. It's not just the
You're right.
social media, it's the
Hmm.
hormones in our body.
Yes, this is true. And you're very right about that. As a matter of fact, due to that same information, social media uses it in a way that's like people would not understand, from the 3 seconds to the 8 seconds to the 8 seconds to the 12 seconds to the 18 and 24 and up to 30 seconds. And because people are looking to get that hit, that sense of my identity is wrapped up in somebody liking my post. Did they like it? You check, 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 check all day long until somebody finally likes it. And it's like, ooh, I'm validated because somebody liked my post. But wait a minute, what if you take out your own self-validation stamp and stamp yourself in the head because I'm worthy? Not because of somebody liked my post, because I'm a good person and I don't do anything to harm anybody else. And I want the best for everybody else like I want the best for me. And once you start to do that, your validation is who you are, not because somebody liked or didn't like your post. You want to share good content and good information, but we also have to prioritize why we're doing what it is that we're doing and how we're
So
doing the things it is that we're doing.
people are really using their phone a lot. And yes, they are using it to get in contact with other people. I had
Right.
a client said, yeah, but I spent about 2 hours each day, 2 hours,
Yeah.
just talking to friends, writing back and forth because she wanted to talk to everyone. I said, you can't
Yeah.
talk to everyone because she was stressed and
Yeah.
overwhelmed. And how are you feeling? Can you give to others when you are down?
Yeah.
No. So it's
Yeah.
better to, okay, which ones to do now, which one to do later. You're not saying
Mhm.
no to people, you're just saying later. So
You
it's
know, it's
about
interesting.
living in the moment.
It
As a
is.
friend of mine says, no opportunities wasted. Live in the now.
The now is the place to be. And it's really important. And again, going right back to the same point that you're making, more often than not, when people allow themselves to be tapped out, and when I say tapped out because of the time frame that they're actually working in, more often than not, it's about people pleasing. And rather than
Yeah.
say no, which is a complete sentence, they'll agree and just keep agreeing and agreeing and agreeing and never really find out that they don't have the time to say what they're agreeing to, but it's costing them more because now the artificial representation of that person is showing up. So it's better to learn how to say no and be sincere about the no, because you have priorities and things that you have to take care of, starting with yourself. So how do we reclaim that time back? A simple thing is, it's a complete sentence. No, just simply say no. And don't worry about the self-approval from somebody else and all those other different things and whatnot. If it doesn't serve you, there's no way. You have to mention something real quick, and I'll leave it at this point. People tend to pour out of a cup that's already empty, and there's
Yeah.
nothing in the cup. You can pour out from your overflow, but keep your cup full. That's the whole thing. That's the bottom line with that one, because we can go on that one for a whole nother hour. But
Oh, we could go a lot. I've been in so many projects where people are saying no, and then they put out arguments. But
right.
I can give a hint to all your logical viewers out there. If you say no because, and you mention a
Yeah,
thing, then people will argue against what your reason is. So
exactly.
if you're saying no and
It's
say
complete.
no, I can do it tomorrow. Okay, you can take it or leave it.
Yeah, yeah,
You're not saying
exactly.
no forever. Sometimes we do, but don't put an argument. It's okay if you say no.
It's okay. You've got to be okay with saying no. And at the same time, you got to be okay with people saying no to you too. See, it goes both ways
Yeah,
now,
it goes
but
both ways.
it goes both ways. So we have to learn again. Once we find out that inner voice that we have within inside ourselves, we'll find out that we're on a journey of discovery. and we learn different things about ourselves. And it's really the point about learning is it's a continuum. It doesn't stop. You know, self-development is a continual thing. And the more you learn, the more you find out, the more you unlearn. You know, two things can't occupy the same space at the same time. It's like power and force. So the whole thing with it is, who am I? And am I really who I say I am? And am I all that I ought to be? What are my values? What are my morals? What's my code of conduct? What are the boundaries that I have set for myself? What's the things that I will do? What's the things that I won't do? What are the things that I'm willing to accept? And what am I not? And I got to make sure I'm not in conflict. See, I don't want to say I do this, and then my back, I turn around and do something different. If
Yeah,
it's
it's
my
like your
principle,
values. What are your values? And live by your values. There is
exactly.
the word, when you write it out, impossible.
Right.
Dissect it, and it says, I
I
am
am
possible.
possible. True.
Ah, yeah. And it's about opening up. And yes, people can have a hard time. I can't, I won't,
Right.
okay. Think of it. What can you control? And some
Mm-hmm.
part of you, and about the holistic thing is, you choose. If you have a bad health, what can you do to improve your health? I love you
Exactly.
have a visual about like a wheel. You have
Mm-hmm.
the different angles,
Yeah.
the heart and the
Relationships help.
mind, the
Yes.
body, the
Mm-hmm.
relationships. We are a
Exactly.
total person. And when
Mm-hmm.
we forget certain areas, we
Yeah.
can't function as a complete wheel.
We have to. And that's the whole thing. We get to do certain things. Nobody has to do anything. You have an opportunity. And like you said in the beginning, it's not that I have to, it's that I get to do it. And when you
Yeah,
find out the thing that you truly enjoy doing, and when you do it so well that you could take it out here and be compensated for it, that's another essence to it, which is really great. But it's not work. See, when you find the thing it is that you truly love to do, you can do it all day. It's the thing that keeps you up in the day and wakes you up in the morning because you can't wait to get to it because it jazzes you, fires you up. It's that dopamine hit that you get. It's the endorphins that get released. It's the oxytocin in the body that just kind of
yeah.
makes you jingle and tingle and whatnot. And it's the music that's playing in the air, but nobody else can hear except for you because that's your frequency, energy, and vibration. But you still got your little beat and your little bounce going too. And it's like, yeah. And then people come around you, and it's like, you're always jazzed up. I just love being around you. And
Give
see,
me more.
it's, that's it. That's it. That's the whole thing right there. You
Yeah,
wake up with a
but
smile.
it rubs off when people sometimes they ask me, you do this and your mom of four small kids? Yeah,
Yeah,
we all have situations where you feel like, oh, I don't want to do that. Okay, do it, find something, otherwise something to do together or do it
yeah,
afterwards, and then get
exactly.
the energy up. So yes,
Exactly.
energy bundle, I've been called that a lot because find some way to do it and collaborate, do something. Some
That's
people
it.
like to be alone doing things. Other people like to be with other people. So the
True.
holistic thing is about finding each our preferences. What
Yeah, you
makes you
just said it.
spark?
And that's it. And when you find it, do it as often as you can. I mean, listen, there's moments for stillness, silence, and solitude. We definitely get that. So you have your
Yeah,
stillness moment, your silence moment, your solitude moment. But it's not well, I still like to say there's 23 hours, 56 minutes, and 48 seconds in a day because that's how long it takes for the earth to rotate around. But at the same time, we use a 24-hour clock. But at the same time, take your few minutes and just sit there and pontificate about what the world would look like if I showed up and impacted the world with just who I am. And then go do it. I mean, we can sit here and think about it all day long and sit on a rock. But what happens when you show up for you, just like you are? You're more than enough. Like, you're really enough. Like, there's just so much in you. You could possibly, how could you ever understand all of who you truly are? I mean, we're changing like this and change like this. There's 37 trillion cells within the body. Cells are always emerging and becoming, transitioning from one state to the next state. And there's always something new to learn. Like the power of within, your energy source. Like think about your last kick or your last break or your last punch or whatever. Just realizing that there's even more force behind that when you tap into even greater degrees of power, because that's really what it is. Like there's this harnessed energy that we have within ourselves. And when you turn on, the fire starts to burn. And then when the fire starts to burn, you ignite. but you don't get consumed. You just illuminate to even brighter degrees of awareness and knowledge, and you see things from a different perspective. You hear things in a different way. You tap into those energies that you have that just sustain life itself. And that's where the party is.
I often use two big lists in people's lives. One is the joy list. What makes you happy? It's good to have,
Yeah.
oh yeah, when I'm down, this is what I usually makes me happy. And the other
Hmm.
one is the drainers. Oh, I hate to do that. But
Yeah.
sometimes it helps to be aware of what makes you fire up and what drains you.
You
Because
do.
some people, they are sitting and scrolling, but they can't be alone with themselves. It is
Yeah.
good to learn about yourself, what triggers you, both the
Yeah.
positive and the negative. Because
True.
when you are aware, you can deal with it.
Hmm. You're right. And you said something again. Most most people are really afraid to be by themselves. So rather than sit there by yourself and be confronted, oh boy, here we go. So so
Come on.
people are afraid of themselves, and it's a lot of the stories that people have imposed on them that they tend to believe, and they adjust those things as their ideology, as their belief systems and whatnot. And it's so far from the truth. But until you really come online and find out the real value that you actually have and the sustainability through the stress, strain, and struggle that people go through to get from where they were to that next level, you'll always be afraid. And it's like just the thought of me being alone, not myself, but going through that process is traumatizing. And somewhere within that child essence of the self, something happened when you were left alone. Now, here's the thing, a lot of these people who are scrolling and rolling through these different sites and whatnot, and they on there for a few seconds, have some type of situation stemming from when they were little. Now, since social media has perpetuated those situations and
Yeah.
enhanced it to a degree, unbeknownst to most people, they didn't even realize it. How much time you actually spend on social, and listen, social media serves its purpose, definitely. Because if it wasn't, we wouldn't be here where we are right now. So it serves a purpose, but understand and prioritize the amount of time that you're actually on there. And that's all it is. Just prioritize your time. I'm going to spend such and such amount of time doing this, and then put it down and go ahead and facilitate the best part of yourself, which is finding out who you are. Know
It's
thyself, to thyself be true.
Yeah, it's about being intentional with your time. If
Yeah.
you yourself spend 3 hours on a cell phone or a laptop, okay, if that is needed. But if you do it every day and you're
Yeah.
being drained, you're feeling, and there is also the stuff about, wireless and vibrations,
Yeah.
electronic systems. So sometimes it's good to be without electricity
Turn it
around
off.
you. That infects our body as well.
You are 100% true. And the simplest aspect to that is to turn everything off. And if you don't want to turn it off, go for a walk and just go out in nature. Go put your feet on the ground. Go get grounded. Go hug a tree. Go stand out there and listen to the birds. Get into the element of nature where you just leave the phone. If you got to see your phone, leave the phone in sight, because some people just get so nervous. It's like an umbilical cord attached to the phone. But leave that thing someplace and just go for a walk and just sit still and just listen. Like, I like to do the early morning thing. I'm one of those people. So when the birds are up, I'm up. We're sitting there and it's that conversation that's going on. The earth is kind of still and it's kind of quiet. The day is transitioning from the dawn into the day and whatnot. So it's still a little bit dark, but it's also the light coming on throughout the day. And you get that moment of silence and that solitude for yourself to sit there and ask yourself, what do I want today to look like? Well, first of all, I'm grateful for the fact that I'm here today, because I don't
Yeah.
have to be, but I've been blessed enough to be here for this next part of the day, however you see it. But what am I going to make today special for? How can I show up today and just be the best and true version of myself and just apply myself in whatever way that I truly can? That's just a few minutes before you even jump out of the bed. Like, slow it down so you can speed up if that's what you need to do. But definitely spend a few minutes in the air and just feel the sun on your skin. Feel the wind in your hair. Feel the wind blowing through you. Just feel it. Just allow it to be, and it'll revitalize you. It'll charge you up in a way that none of this stuff can actually do. I mean, this is, you just got
All
to
we
learn.
have around us, they are tools. Our
Yeah.
phone is a tool, but it's, oh, when I take my glasses on, okay, what do I focus on? I
Yeah.
focus on this or that. It's we ourselves decide what to focus on. Yes, sometimes life happens, but
Yeah.
how we react,
Mm-hmm.
we,
That's
we
it.
can do a lot more than, oh, I can't do that. I don't have the time. How many people are saying that? But if you
Yeah.
talk about it, Zig Ziglar talking about, 100 hours and you can become good at something, that is about 17 minutes a day.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, right?
Only 17 minutes? Okay, what could you do less of?
Yeah,
Okay. Well, people can be creative. Oh, it's only that. So put it down to small bits. What is the minimum I can do today to
yeah.
be complete myself? So
Mm-hmm.
about the superhuman, how did you come up
Yes.
with that word? I love it, by the way.
Well, you know what? So I was at a state and a point in my life where it was like it's time for me to make a radical transformation. And I decided, you know what? Mm. As a police officer, my job was to go out there as a detective in the city, was to go out there and protect and serve and make sure that people were right and okay and safe and all those different things and property and blah, blah, blah. So my whole thing, especially during the time that I was working, I used to always work first thing in the morning, like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. So it wasn't so much about activity that was going on, but it was like being prepared in case something did go on. So I kind of always felt myself being perched up, looking over the city just to make sure that everything was okay and people were safe and people were well. So that superhuman aspect was always about being the superhuman, but just being who it is that I am. You put on your
Yeah.
uniform, you go out there and you do your thing. My mission every day to serve and protect, definitely, but to make sure I made it back to my locker. And every day that I did that, it was just like, okay, I'm doing the thing it is that I do. Of course, you're confronted with situations and circumstances, but it's just, but how can we create a win-win in this situation? And sometimes there's a win-win, sometimes there's a win, and sometimes there's a loss. But as long as your wins are greater than the losses that you actually have, and I'm talking about life, I'm talking about preserving life, where you don't have to take someone's life is the win-win, and you can get someone's perspective to change. So my whole thing with the superhuman element was, how can I create that? How can I allow that to be my modus operandi? How do I function like that? So for me, my uniform was my uniform, but my superhuman element was the thing that I wore outside. And that was my
Ah,
presentation. How did I show up? Forget about the uniform. How do I show up as a person to you in my interaction, my conversation with you? So that was the whole thing. So you had to go beyond what it looked like to represent something completely different. So people weren't like apprehensive and fearful. And I'm talking about there's a time when you actually have to be, but your reputation precedes you if you're doing things the right way. And that was my whole element. I made sure that I was sharp. I made sure that I spoke articulately. I made sure that when I said something, it was what I said. I made sure that when I was respectful, I was respectful. And I also commanded amount of respect also. So those things came in line with who it was that I was exemplifying as far as that superhuman element. And that just kind of stuck with everything as far as my transformation for the body, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and learning how to command the body physically. And I went through a radical transformation, started bodybuilding, and kept that same mantra, that same mindset to be my power of belief. And it stuck. And we just
yes,
turn on.
so but I love when people are talking about, yes, I want to get more out of life. I want to reclaim my time. But
Right.
it's a lot more than just tools. It's about, yeah, I talk about finding the time personal blueprint, but
Yeah.
this is about holistically. If you have a
Yeah.
good health, if you have a good mindset, it's really so when we talked about, superhuman, that fits so well if people want to get to their goals faster and
Yeah.
enjoying the ride.
That's the whole thing. You just said it. It is first, it's possible for everyone. And if it's possible for me, trust me, it's possible for everyone. The police department was one aspect of it, but no matter what it is that you do, it's consistency. And how we do anything is how we do everything. So the whole thing with it is once, like I said, once you turn on and once you realize and you tap in, it's not about how much I can't do, it's how much I wasn't doing, how much I didn't know. And
Yeah.
it's not about the past that just kind of hinders you. It's about becoming greater and doing more if that's your choice. Maybe you just want to be a bump on a log and just sit there. If that's your choice, enjoy yourself. But for the people who decided, I want to do more, I want to be more, I want to
Yeah.
express myself greater, you have an option to just turn on from within. And same thing like you have out here where you're showing people how to manage their time and how to get sleep. And there's all kind of tools, products, programs, and services out here for everyone. The question is are you willing to show up for yourself? Are you willing to do something different than you've already done in order to accomplish something that you truly desire? Because the same thing that got you here It's not going to be the same thing that's going to get you to the next level of your life as far as expression. You got to be willing to become someone you've never been in order to do something you've never accomplished before. But now my whole expression is, instead of just cause and effect, you get to cause the effect that you truly want, which is a different
Yes.
system, you
And it's
know?
good to find the reason why are we where we are today? Because
Yeah.
sometimes the cause is, oh, it's because I fear that. Okay, how can we help avoid
Yeah.
that? Sometimes people don't know about things, how to do, it could be bodybuilding or whatever.
Yeah.
Get help, ask. And it's okay to, as long as we are aware, I'm good at this. We're all good at something. I'm
Yep.
not good at this.
Yeah.
We can all go into that. What can we do about it? So awareness and choosing. So
Yeah.
I admit I love your voice and your accent. I'm in Europe, and as people can know, this is Clyde is not in Europe, but you
No, I'm
have
in New
done
York.
meditation as well.
Yeah, I do. That's another part because it's important again for us to use as tools. You said it right. You said it best. Like, if you don't know, find out. If you want to
Yeah,
know, ask questions. And as long as you're willing to ask questions to find out what you don't know, you'll open yourself up to learning. So for me, I feel like, a lot of people are apprehensive about trying to find out something or explore something. So I make it simple and make it easy. Try it out before you deny it, you know, and give it a chance, give it an opportunity, but open yourself up to something different. And a simple thing like a meditation. I believe that, when you have an opportunity to calm things down, sometimes the voice that you hear will resonate different with you. Now, my voice
yeah,
may resonate with people that's a little bit different, as well as yours may different, being from, the Europe side and whatnot. But it's all okay because different strokes for different folks. Find out what you like and then find out what you enjoy and then find a way to serve and feed yourself from that same thing. So meditations is a way. I believe that when we calm the mind down, we get to feel different. We get to see different. We get to hear different. We only have these five senses in this realm that we're talking about: see, hear,
yeah,
smell, taste, touch. But what happens in a higher degree of consciousness where it goes from imagination, memory, reason, will? And when we put those things online, it's like you superhumanly impose things into existence. It's like, well, I know the five senses, but what's the next level of senses? And when you put those things together, now we have synchronicities and serendipitous moments that come online because my imagination, memory, reason, will coagulate and they come together in a different function and operation. Same thing with see, hear, smell, taste, touch without visualizations. This should be
yeah,
full sense. So when we put those things together, we get different elements. Again, my whole thing is there's one level of being human, and the superhuman level is something completely different. And when you're ready for the superhuman experience, you learn how to quiet the mind down so you can hear and see things differently. And this is what meditation is really all about: bringing the body into stillness and silence and solitude within so you can hear what the body's trying to reveal to you. And when you do, you're met with these superhuman expressions and superhuman experiences and superhuman people who are resonating and waiting for you and have asked you, where have you been? I don't know where I've been, but I'm here right now. Let's go do work.
yeah.
Let's go change the world.
And use the now. This is why it's
Yeah,
called the present. It is a present. It's a gift to ourselves. Use it because sometimes people are saying at the end of life, I wish I had, the regret.
yeah,
Find out what triggers you, what you want. When
yeah,
I'm around kids, they're saying, I want to. Then help them get to their dreams, but also listen to yourself. Sometimes
yeah,
put a hand on your heart and say, what do I really want? Yeah, a
yeah,
lot of people are doing the manifestation thing and reading aloud, but you have to embody it and really, that is why I want it. And it
yeah,
has to be fitting you. So I love what you're saying about the meditation. And for
yeah.
you guys listening out there, below there will be a link to Clyde's, and there is a place where you can find a meditation. Ooh,
That's right.
listen,
Exactly.
listen to his voice. Try it out.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Christine. And you know what? I just want folks to have the opportunity to become the true version of themselves. And sometimes it's just a decision. You're only a decision away. You're one
Yeah,
decision away from becoming a true version of yourself. No matter how many times you may have tried it, no matter how many attempts, just like you said, when that kid shows up, and that kid is oftentimes, when he shows up, a reflection of who you were at one point or another. So you identify that child. And now you have an opportunity, just like you can change and impact that child's life. change and impact your life as well with that decision. And you don't necessarily have to be afraid or hindered or anything along those lines. Step out and journey and find out what the quest of life really is all about. Interact with that child. And you said something else, putting your hand on your heart and connecting with your heart and feel that vibration, feel that pulse, feel that beat. There's a frequency that's going in there that extends out beyond what even thinking actually does. The vibration of the heart extends out to even further than the thought concept. And when you start to do that, think about the radius of that actually circulates and penetrates and fills the inner spaces of this universe that we live in just by your heartbeat. So when somebody comes up to you, you've attracted them in some way. Question is how did I attract this to myself? And how can I serve from this place? And don't be afraid to ask yourself the questions, because the answers may sometimes be the best thing that'll change the direction and the course of your life. So be open and ready for it. So have
It's
fun.
like it's like the ripple effect. If you see, it could be kids or other grown-ups
Yeah.
arguing or doing some things. Try and watch yourself.
Yeah.
Are you arguing or mad, or are you in a good state? Because
Yeah.
people reflect who they're with. And yeah,
True.
there can be other reasons. But if you react, it's like an orange. What
Yeah.
is in, if you squeeze it, what's inside? It's orange juice. But if
Yeah.
people are overwhelmed or agitated, when you squeeze them, they
Yeah.
blur out.
They burst.
But
They burst.
if they're more in calm inside, and when people agitated at them, they said, okay, let's calm down. Let's take it from there. And the
Exactly.
whole situation's like the ripple effect. So
It
you can
is.
do a lot of good. So it's about superhuman. And as I hear
Exactly.
from you, superhuman is realistic to
Yes.
catch. It's not for the other people.
Mm-mm. It's for
Everyone
self.
listening can be superhuman in some kind
Everyone.
of way
Yeah.
and code and whatever superhuman have.
You can. However superhuman you can be that superhuman, because there's nobody superhuman like you. You have your own
Oh,
uniqueness.
so good,
The
Clyde.
world awaits for you. So we need you just as a superhuman that you are. We're just waiting for you to turn on, tune in, tap in, turn on, and live the greatest expression of life itself as you possibly can. And let's radically just change this world person by person, connecting. And 8 trillion people that's out here, 8 billion people. Let's just do it. Let's just get it done, and let's just make it happen and have fun along the way. Why can't we dance and joyful and have fun and sing and dance and do our thing all the way?
So we could spend several hours, and perhaps we'll do this again at another time on a different
We can.
subject. If
Yeah,
people have a question, they can ask below, and then we can follow up. Or if you want to hear some more about, because Clyde, you have such a vast background. You've tried different things like I have, and you want to share and give value to the world. So,
absolutely.
what are you up to in this world? Because there will be a link downstairs below this
Yeah,
video where you can link up to Clyde.
yeah.
But what are you up to?
So now, longevity, vitality for people, getting people to really find a balance between the masculine energy and the feminine energy. Just created a program for men called Man Made, which is a program that goes over the silent rage that a lot of men are sitting and suffering, where men sit and suffer in silence. We talk about how to address those different things and how to, really come out of that state of thinking that you're not valuable, you're not worthy. A lot of, the emasculation things are really going on with a lot of men, and they're trying to find out who they truly are. So there's a program that's for that for women. I mean, for men, there's also a program called Made for Women, which is the other part, which teaches about the balance of having that masculine and feminine energy within the female. And it's a lot of women that are going around and they're trying to find out the balance between the two because of the situations that may be happening in their home, or because of different things that are happening in the work life where they're being challenged as far as their femininity. They have to show up more as a masculine energy being as opposed to the feminine energy being, where the compassion that's in the female is not necessarily being adhered to. So it's the balance between those two different things. So for the men, it's understanding the integration between the masculine and feminine energy. For the women, it's understanding the balance between the feminine energy and the masculine energy, and just putting those two things in line. They're two separate courses and whatnot, and really figuring out the longevity and the vitality for life. How can we get this greater expression of life through ourselves just by being healthy? Sometimes it's just laying down and getting some rest and allowing the body just to recharge itself. It's a nutritional thing. We're not eating the right foods and we're
Yeah.
not stressed, we're stressed out and adrenaline and cortisol is pumped into the system. And we're not doing the same things that we really need to do with the energy that we actually have within inside ourselves. We all have this harnessed energy, but we're utilizing it in ways that are not really conducive for the expression of life. And putting people really in balance and harmony with themselves is really what I'm all about right now.
Oh, that sounds really good.
Yeah,
So to
thank
sum this up, audience, follow this podcast and go check out Clyde's link. And I admit, listen to his meditation, hear his voice. He is a good voice. And follow him for
you.
more. But it's
Yeah,
good to be inspired by people who know their stuff,
yeah,
who have a
definitely.
background, who've experienced a lot. Because
Mhm.
it sounds like you have so much to share and are willing to
Yeah,
share. So,
definitely.
people out there, if you want to hear more, listen more to Clyde. So,
Thank you, Christina. I
see you
appreciate
out.
you. Thank you for having me on here. I've listened to you and you're an amazing speaker. You have a lot of things going on. And thank you for allowing me to spend some time with you today. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
See you.